Hey there, welcome to the UkeStuff channel and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the KA-SSTU-C. It is the concert travel ukulele with a solid spruce top, laminate mahogany back and sides. It has been around for quite a while and I just picked this one up used for $20 mainly because it has a crack in the top, and we'll come back to it. One of my early ukuleles in my own ukulele journey was a KA-SSTU-C that I had, and I liked it, but the tension was always really high for me on that instrument, and I found out that I liked concert better. Later, I did review Hurricane, has a thin line model as well, and again, just not my scale. I thought that the Hurricane offered similar functionality for a fraction of the price of the Kala, and I didn't really want to keep either. However, when I saw a concert available, especially for only $20, with the only flaw really being this crack in the top, I took the opportunity to go and buy it. And the next step will be changing the strings. I'm going to be putting Aquila B blacks on this. I've got them right here. I'm going to film another video about that so you can see what they're like. It's a new product from Aquila. So what are we going to do in this video? First of all, we are going to talk about subjective categories that I talk about with all instruments. Then I'll go over the specifications, and then I'll give it a summary and a UkeGuide rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. So let's begin. First of all, the cost of this instrument is $229, which is a lot considering you're talking about a solid top instrument with a laminate mahogany back and sides, plus an instrument that's been on the market for a long time. I'm starting to think of instruments in terms of like categories, and in the $200 and above range, you're talking about your first serious instrument, and this would be that. And as we get into value, I think that's where the main problem with this ukulele is that $229 is too much. Now you can find them used. You probably won't find them for $20, but you can find them used. And they do include a gig bag. And it has been only one of the rare Kalas that has included a gig bag, other than their most expensive models, and then some oddly shaped ones. And this one has a gig bag because, again, of its odd shape. This would float around in a standard concert ukulele gig bag. So they include one, and they have with the entire series, including the pocket travel ukulele, which I have as well and have done a review on. So you can look at that at this channel as well. So the price is higher than the value. So in other words, the price exceeds the value on this instrument. It's not a great deal. It's not a terrible deal, but it's not a great deal. It is a little bit overpriced. Now, the build quality overall is really quite good overall. It's cleanly made. They look attractive. They have that little bow shape in it, which I think helps the sound and projection. The nut width is narrow. It's a 35 millimeter nut, which is standard, but the string spacing is really tight on this. And then the piece that I do want to point out is that I have seen a number of these travel ukuleles with a crack right about here. Now, you can make an argument that the owner didn't take care of it and thus it cracked, and maybe that's true, but I have seen a number of these Kalas where that is cracked. Now, on the positive side, it's still functional as an instrument. You could try to have a cleat put up underneath to support it and stabilize it. You could try to put, for example, some tight bond in there and then wipe it off and let it sort of hold, which is what I might do, especially if the crack continues above the bridge. Then maybe I'll worry about that. But I do think that the bridge is holding as a cleat right there from that crack down. And the crack does make it all the way to the edge there. So that's the big concern, I think, structurally, is that these are prone to cracking. They made them thin, they made them resonant, but sometimes in dry climates or elsewhere, that can cause a crack. Now, let's take a look at the inside of the ukulele. All right, I have a new endoscope that plugs right into my iPad without any adapters. So we're going to use that for the first time today, and we're looking at the SSTU-C. This one isn't a rigid, so we've got to work with a little bit, but there you can see the soundboard actually doesn't have any horizontal bracing, and that may be part of the reason why it's so loud, but also may be why it has been cracking. So I'm doing my best here to hold this down here so we can see what's going on here. It's a clean build. You can see that it has a tail block. You can see it has notch kerfing, but it does not seem to have any horizontal bracing except for way up here at the top of the instrument. So that's really interesting. And again, with the flexible endoscope, please be patient with me as I'm just trying to make this work as good as possible. Trying to see if I can see the other side here. There we go. A little bit of glue here and there, some dirt in there because it is a used instrument, but really a lot of unbraced soundboard. Okay, this is going to be really hard to see, but I'll do my best. You can see the notch kerfing here. I'm having to do this a little differently than I normally do. There is your neck block, and there's some more of your notch kerfing. You can see it is solid spruce. It's cleanly built. I just think it could have used more bracing, which might have also helped prevent that crack. All right, and that's our quick look at the inside of the KA-SSTU-C ukulele. Now, as for appearance, you actually get a little bit of bling here. I mean, obviously you get the spruce top, which may be too pale for you, but I think looks pretty classic and traditional. You've got the Kala crown headstock. You've got the Kala logo screened on there. You have a screen rosette. You do have purfling on the edges. You also have binding on the edges. And that all looks really nice, as well as a nice little Kala decal right there as well, right above the shoulder button there. So yeah, it's a attractive travel ukulele, just like all of the travel ukuleles in the series. In terms of availability, you can buy them right now from Kala dealers, and you can find them used. As for playability, there are two things going on here that sort of contradict each other, making it not as playable as it could be. The first is it's a 35 millimeter nut with really tight string spacing. So they've given the width from G to A a really tight spacing on this instrument. That could be spread out further in 35, but realistically a 38 millimeter neck would be nice. But the thing that Kala did get right on this is it might be a bit of a C shape, but it's nowhere near as thick and chunky as other Kala instruments or other import ukuleles. They did make it more flat in the back, and I wish that was true of all their instruments. Now, I think they had to do that in order to get this alignment with the thin ukulele, but they should be using this neck in all their concerts. That is one thing that I would suggest. So the neck is really comfortable. The spacing is a little tight, even for me. And the action here is a bit high, which is true especially of older Kalas, that they need to be adjusted, so I need to adjust it as well to make it more playable. Now, in terms of sound quality, I think it's a really good sound quality, but it's on the loud end and it is on the bright end. It makes it bark more like a soprano than it does a concert, and that's a combination of the spruce. It's a combination, I think, of this rounded back, and of course, the depth of the instrument. It's much narrower than even a standard soprano, but I think that is part of it. One of the things I do in these videos is I let you see what I'm hearing by playing into the app Tonal Energy Tuner to let you see what's happening with the harmonic energy as I play, for example, the C chord on a GCEA instrument. Here we go. Now, Tonal Energy Tuner was picking up on the low notes, sustaining at the end. And that's not to say that it doesn't have any low end, but it doesn't have that same rounded presence as a thicker ukulele, which is okay. It's a travel ukulele, it's thin, and it's spruce. It should have some cutting properties. But Tonal Energy Tuner did pick up on the lower frequencies there. All right, now that we've talked about the subjective categories, let's get into the specifications. It is a concert ukulele with a measured scale length of 14.8125 inches, so not quite 15 inches from nut to saddle. It has 18 frets with 14 at the body. It does have side position markers, and it does have front position markers as well. There is no double marker for the 12. It is a traditional double bout, although thin line. The soundboard is spruce. The back and sides are laminate mahogany with binding. The fretboard is rosewood, as is the bridge. The bridge is a tie bar bridge, and it does not have a radius fretboard as to be expected. The nut and saddle are Graphtec new bone, very nice. It is not a compensated saddle, it's flat across. The finish is a satin, it's not a gloss. So overall length is 23.875 inches, so a little bit longer than a standard concert, not counting the strap on the bottom. And it weighs 15.5 ounces, so it's extremely light, and it's a little neck heavy. It has closed geared tuners. Newer ones might say Kala on them, these do not. The action at the first fret is a touch high at 0.73 millimeters. It's playable, but I'd like it lower, and it's going to be set lower. And the action at the 12th fret is 2.80 millimeters, which again is a touch high. I think when I adjust the nut, that will adjust the action of the 12th just perfectly. The nut width is a standard 35 millimeters, so 35.2 millimeters total, pretty standard. The space between strings at the first fret is only 8.8 millimeters, 28.5 G to A at the first fret. That's really tight spacing, even on a 35 millimeter nut. And the depth of the neck at the third fret, so you can get a sense of how chunky and what shape the neck is only 21.1 millimeters at the third fret, even with some string action to be taken down from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck. So that is a nice narrow neck for Kala. It's good to see. It's going to be down maybe under 20 by the time that the string action is adjusted. And of course, you do get a Kala gig bag as well. All right, let's summarize the instrument and give it a UkeGuide rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. This is one of Kala's travel ukuleles. They've been around for a while. It's made out of a spruce top and laminate back and sides. I've had the tenor version of this. I have had a competitor Hurricanes version of this, and I also have the pocket travel version of this. I was able to pick this one up used because of the damage for $20, and it's a great purchase at that. Don't be afraid to buy one of these with a crack because many do. And that's pretty much its biggest flaw, is that the tops are prone to cracking, and the nut width is standard 35 with really narrow string spacing. It sounds good, it's loud. You're not going to get a whole lot of balance sound, but you're going to get a very present and pleasing sound, at least in a lot of conditions where you might be playing outside, where maybe that full sound spectrum isn't so important, is cutting through. So in a lot of ways it functions more like a soprano. I would say if you buy one of these, you might need to get it set up, very likely. And of course, you might want to consider what to do if your instrument cracks. What rating would I give this out of 5 possible ukuleles? I would give this 4.0 because of the potential splitting, but otherwise it's one that I like a lot and is probably not going to be leaving my collection. Thanks so much for joining me with this video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.